This is The Freak Zone on BBC Six Music. I'm Stuart McConey. Thanks for joining me. Battles burst onto the scene in 2007 with a collection called Mirrored, which was somewhere between math rock, prog and jazz, complex, bright, up-tempo tunes with vocals from Tyondai Braxton, son of the great avant-garde jazz sax player Anthony Braxton. As you're going to hear, Tyondai left the band unexpectedly as they were making the second album, Gloss Drop, and left the remaining members with something of a problem. That album came out in 2011. There was a range of guest vocalists on there, from Gary Newman to I from Boredoms. It was a real triumph. Played it a lot here on this network and on this show. Well, they've just released their third album, La Di Da Di, completely instrumental, and they've been touring in the UK this week. So we caught up with them at the Manchester Academy and asked them about the differences between La Di Da Di and Gloss Drop.
The last record was a completely reactionary thing, whereas this record is, we had the ability to live with for a long time. We were super comfortable making it, and this is a truer record for us, I think.
I think that given the circumstances, it was a real accomplishment to make that record. I guess that part of that backstory is important when you think about the music. And I think part of the story of that record was that we wrote all independently. I would write a lot of lines, and Dave would write lines, and John had beats. But we actually all recorded separately in a strange way. I mean, that was probably leading to the path of our becoming more disjointed. So we ended up having actually several different records at once being made, and it was really just deleting one of the members' parts. But the reason we got guest vocals was some of the songs were like expecting vocals.
Ian, guitarist of Battles there, and John, the drummer, before that. So here's John again now, describing how he felt when Tyondai so unexpectedly left the band.
Your first reaction is just like, what were you talking about? We're in the middle of recording a record. What do you mean you're going to leave now? Like, that makes no sense. But I think we were working on this record, but no one was happy with it. Even he wasn't even happy with it. It sounded terrible. It was really bad. Yeah. So once he left, after the initial shock of like, oh my God, what are we going to do? All of a sudden it's like, wait, no, now this song sounds awesome because there are these ridiculous, terrible vocals on it now, to be honest. So it's like instant new chapter.
It wasn't like we were sitting there crying like, oh no, Ty's gone. It was the only way the band could have survived, because the record that we were making did not sound like Battles at all. I think listeners would have been like, what is this? And, I know that Gloss Drop to some listeners was sort of like, wait, there's a guy singing in Spanish, now there's like a woman singing, and now Gary Newman's singing, and what's going on? How is this Battles or something? I think that was a reaction of some people. I think a lot of other people went along for the ride and enjoyed it. But the record that would have been made with Ty, I think, was so off the map of what anybody would identify as a battle song. And that was sort of the problem we were having.
It's not like there was this awesome record and then he just disappeared, and then it was terrible. The way it was going was really bad. I was like pretty worried, to be honest. I think we all were. So, and again, even he wasn't into it. So instead of like breaking the band up, it's kind of much better that he just left, really. I mean, looking back now, I think that was the best possible thing that could have happened. And I'm glad that we didn't finish recording this record and then he left. Ideally it would have been nice if we would have left way before that, before we even started writing the record. That would have been nice, but maybe he didn't know then. So it's something like that you have to sever the cord immediately, or else it's like the repercussions of not doing that, it's a catastrophe.
So a candid account there of what Battles have been through over the last 5 years or so. Finally, we asked them a little about the album artwork for La Di Da Di, which is basically a glossy photograph of a mountain of breakfast foods taken by bass player Dave Konopka.
From what I can understand, and I will speak on Dave's behalf, it's the elements on the front cover are an incongruous combination of foods that no normal one person would eat. Although some people have been now telling me that they could eat that, but it's a lot. Pancakes, it's a ton of stuff. But anyway, it's this borderline grotesque combination of items that technically would be breakfast, but it's items that you would never really combine together, which sort of represents the elements that go into a battle song, elements from left field, and we're just throwing it all together, and it gets mixed together and consumed by the public, which would be you. I think that's what Dave would say if he was here.
I think it's really because Dave from Battles has been playing around with taking photos of food the past few years. I think he got inspired by weird photographs of food at delis, like sandwiches and roasted chicken, but sort of like the gross character of some of the photos and the way it gets photoshopped and collaged together. And so he started to do his own takeoff on that kind of stuff as art. And then, I don't know if you know this, but when in each photo, it's a series of photos of like the same set of food, and like by the end, when it's sort of like a pasty smear, it's all that food blended together.